Hello there everybody and welcome back to Lucius. Today we are moving on to chapter 9. This is entitled Grass is Always Red on This Side. So let's get started. If we take a look at our little Ouija board full of clues here, this is actually one of the more useful ones in my opinion. When I win, it's not paper that you bring. When you lose, it's scissors that you choose. So obviously a bit of a nod towards rock, paper, scissors, and just by looking at the title of this chapter, you may be able to gather some other clues, such as the fact that grass is involved, a rock. So we're going to be taking this next chapter outside. And there's also another item that we had gotten as a gift that I haven't had a chance to really show off yet. This is a music box. You can use it 6 times per chapter, and it's a magical box that will allow you to seek what it is that you're looking for. I don't really use this a whole heck of a lot, but maybe we'll use it this time around or in another chapter just to kind of demonstrate how it is that you can use it. This chapter is fairly short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a detour and I'm going to go and grab an item that we're going to be using in the next chapter. And I'll explain a little bit more about why I'm grabbing this now when it actually comes time to use it in the next chapter, but I just find it a lot easier to do this now, which is really the only reason. I try not to grab things too out of order as to not confuse people. So we're going to go into the study. We're going to open up Lucius's desk here and we're going to grab the super glue. So of course you can grab items in any order like I have mentioned before. They'll stay in your inventory until you use them. So you can pick that up at any time. And now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and move right along here and get right down to business. It would be nice to kind of talk to some more people in the mansion to figure out what their thoughts and feelings are, but I gotta tell you, we are starting to get real short on people to talk to. Not a lot of people left in the mansion. Once you're outside, we can see a fellow that we haven't really seen much. This is the gardener mowing the lawn. This is our next victim. And this guy always sort of, wow, he clipped right through me. That was rude. This guy always sort of struck me as a little bit odd because unless you've ran into him by chance in some of the earlier chapters, then you don't really know that this guy is here because a lot of the chapters we've been doing have taken place in fall and winter. So obviously he hasn't had any sort of use here. And he also wasn't at the Christmas party that our family had thrown with a number of people that work at the mansion. So my first time playing, I didn't even know who this guy was. We were just fortunate to see him in an earlier free roaming chapter. Otherwise, this guy is kind of one of the only ones out of everybody on this list that just seems totally out of place and very unimportant. He's cutting the grass again. I could probably somehow break his mower. I wonder why he always looks like he just came from a disco. If we check the date, it's 1973, so, you know, it's the 70s. That might explain why he dresses that way. It was kind of in back then. Now, we kind of already know that we're looking for a rock here. Obviously, if he runs over the rock, it's going to break his mower, but this might be a good opportunity to take a look at our music box here. We got a couple of rocks, and if we use the music box, the items will glow. It's a little bit difficult to see because the whole screen sort of glows red, but you may have been able to faintly see there that the rocks had a sort of outline on them which indicates that you're supposed to pick them up. Again, the music box is not very useful. You can use it multiple times per chapter, but you can only use it in certain rooms. So obviously I could use it in 6 different rooms, and I could still have 12 different rooms in the mansion to explore, and I still might not still know what it is that I needed, so. Anywho, there's that. Once you have your rock, pick it up, put it in your hand, and put it down in the marked spot. Obviously I can't do that at the moment because he's looking and he'll figure it out. So when he's got his back turned, I'm going to put the rock down and hopefully he will run it over. So once you've set it down, all you really have to do is just sit and wait. And he is on a predetermined path, so he'll go around the outside of the property and then he'll move towards the inside near where the rock is. If he hasn't ran over the rock, just be patient, he will. That lawnmower doesn't seem to be very effective though. I mean, look at this grass, it's still pretty dang long. Come on, buddy. There we go. So he's ran over the rock. We can take a look at our notebook here. And while he's fixing it, that's kind of our chance to try and end him. So let's take out our telekinesis powers. And when he gets his face nice and close to the blades, we're going to use our power to turn the machine on. But unfortunately for us, he managed to get away from the blade, and so we're not going to be able to use that trick twice. But what we can do, however, is we can use our mind control powers again to get him to put his head in the lawnmower. If you tried to use mind control earlier, it wouldn't let you. I think the idea is to get him freaked out by the lawnmower turning on, and that will allow his mind to be weakened. And then you can use the power of mind control to do that. It's pretty brutal.
I went weeks without a proper night's sleep. I just couldn't wrap my head around everything, as if something was evading me. I resorted to the church for help. My hope was that they could visit the house and maybe help some of the people there, offer counsel, whatever it is priests do. I was wrong. Predictably, there was another accident, this time in the garden. One of the most bizarre things I had ever seen. I had no solid explanations, and the press were hounding the department for information. Those vultures were constantly circling the mansion. Everything in my world was falling apart. I was interviewing Charles Wagner on a daily basis now. He tried to tell me this was in a totally different realm. His father, Fabius, who I thought was a little batty, had gone missing by this stage. Everyone presumed he just took off to escape the stress.
What's really going on, Dad? Have we been cursed? Do we have enemies? Are we being extorted? Or is this some sort of vendetta?
Don't talk such rubbish, Charles. You're grabbing at straws.
I know enough about your past mob ties. I know how we got our money.
You don't know shit. And don't ask. Just be thankful for what I've given you.
Have you no feelings, Dad? Why didn't you come to Tom's funeral?
He was a wastrel, and he died a wastrel's death. He was no son of mine.
That's cold by any stretch. You're a heartless, bitter old man.
Who's given you everything you could have ever possibly wanted, and now it's time for payback. There are events afoot which are far beyond anything you would understand.
I'm going to lose this election. My world is falling apart. Lucius won't speak. Nancy is losing her mind, and you're crazy too!
We're all just pawns in the larger scheme of things. These people, they're just fodder for death's eventual scythe. You only need to play your role, Charles, and be a good boy. There are rewards for those who endure to the end.
Good afternoon, miss. I'm Father Legel of the Winter Hill Diocese, and this is Father de Cosimo. We've heard of the unfortunate tribulations that have befallen this house, and we've come to offer a blessing for better days for this place. Would the master or mistress be
Who
home?
is that? What? Get the hell out of my house, bloody parasites! Take your skirts back to the poor micks in town. They'll swallow your Jesus crap. But get off my lawn, or I'll give you a reason to pray for your Easter bunnies. Peddling their tripe here on my property. Make sure they're let out those gates. Who are you? What are you doing here?
You surprised me. I'm Wayne Preston from the Herald. I'd like a word with you about recent events here at Dante Manor. I'm willing to pay handsomely for information.
Don't you know who I am?
Oh, Mr. Wagner, I'm so sorry. I tried the doorbell, but there was no answer. It looked like it would rain, so I simply...
You're trespassing. I could have you shot.
Hey, wait now!
Another late night visit.
What wonderful.
And I do believe that this is actually going to be our last power that he gives us.
We must go on a march. We must continue with no looking back. There are those sniffing about, Lucius. They suspect. You must be on your guard. But now, it is time to teach you the greater skills, so that you can protect yourself if the need arises. Do you like to light fires, Lucius?
Who doesn't?
Your daddy tells you not to.
We get to be a little pyromaniac.
Can show you a better way.
So that's kind of exciting. We get the power of combustion. So at this point now, we've become powerful enough and offered enough sacrifices that we're able to conjure up fireballs and use them to our advantage. So it's kind of a fun power. Takes up a lot of energy to use it though, and we will be seeing this on a somewhat of a regular basis from here on out, so that's kind of fun. Obviously, you can imagine, couldn't be a son of Satan without the power of manipulating fire.
Each time you make a sacrifice for me, you can attain this skill, but only for a short time, until the power dissipates.
Wonder bar.